All right, now that we got our HTML and CSS ready, we can start working on our parallax effect on scroll, which is this. I'll change this to start doing that, but seems like we haven't fixed the font yet, so let me do that. We want Apple Garmont Light to be our font. So we'll change our P tag right there. And to start working with that parallax effect, we need to bring over GSAP, which will be the animation library we'll be using. GSAP is the standard for modern web animations. The easiest way to bring it into your project is to bring over the CDN for GSAP, and we'll also need the CDN for scroll trigger, which will be the ones we'll be using today. So let's get started on that. We'll be using GSAP and scroll trigger. Brought them in already. Our CDNs will also need to create a app.js file, which will hold our JavaScript. And let's link this index.html to that. So, all right, we linked that. And I forgot to mention to add a background, a big image under your hero section. It could be any image, just so you can scroll down. And I added that right here. Alright, so let's start working with GSAP. GSAP is pretty simple to use when making your animations. It just has its own few syntax that you have to remember. So first we'll have to bring in scroll trigger, which will be GSAP register plugin scroll trigger. And we want to create a timeline, so we'll call it constant timeline top. When working with GSAP, you always have to create a timeline if you want your animations to be synced up how we have them here. So this is the syntax for GSAP dot timeline, and that should be within some parentheses. My mistake, not parentheses. So single brackets, and then add some curly brackets inside of it, which will hold the scroll trigger syntax. Now bring that in just to make this a little bit faster and explain what the lines are doing for you. And let's take this off so we can see the markers. So we want to have this scroll trigger inside of our GSAP timeline, which we created right here. The scroll trigger has a few properties, which is trigger. Our trigger will be the hero section right here. This is where we want the animation to take place. And we want it to start at 10% from the top and end at 70% of that hero section. Scrub will allow you to use the animation and go back and forth, not just once. And the markers right here is just so we can know where our start and end points are. So let's save that, and we should be able to see our markers right there. So now the next part is to create a from to for our timeline top. TL top, and then you create a from to. And we want to target our main image. So we'll put some quotation marks. This is the Steve Jobs image we have on the bottom. And we'll give it a from and a to. So it'll go from Y0, which is where it's at right now, comma, to Y 100 pixels up. Let's save that. And that should make our main image move a little bit up. You see? Now we have that parallax effect we wanted. But if we want to add a little bit more to it, we can add a parallax and change the speed of the left and the right image also. So let's add another from to for the image left and an image right, which is image left, image right, and right here's our main image. And we want it to go from Y0 to Y minus 50 pixels down. And we want to go from Y to minus 70 pixels. And this little less than at the end of our from to is so they will sync up perfectly. And see, now the images also move a little bit different speed. And we'll remove our markers so we can see everything better. And just to show you that scrub has an effect, if we remove the scrub, you won't be able to do that animation back and forth. So see, it'll just do it once and then it'll be finished. You can longer do it. So I recommend putting scrub. And you see? And that should be it for our parallax effect animation. We use GSAP today to create our animation, which makes the whole process a lot more simple and smooth. And the good thing about GSAP is that it's mobile responsive and it does not slow down your website at all.